You haven't earned anything." These words literally lashed Jane all the way. "Well, what did you expect? A good life? Good job, you got it? Serves you right." She dropped the heavy bags and sat on a stump. It all started so well. Or maybe she was just fooling herself? 20 years of life with Mike ended in one day, that very morning when she came home from the night shift and saw that Mike was not alone and her things were packed and standing at the door. Mike, what does all this mean? Jane was so confused that she didn't even grab the young woman who was lounging around their apartment in a frivolous robe by the hair. "It means, my dear, that I'm tired of hiding. I want to live with my beloved woman, not you." "Mike, what are you saying? We've been together for 20 years. "Exactly. We've been suffering together for 20 years. You know very well that there was never any love between you and me. And besides, you forced me to marry you." "How did I force you? I thought you were such, and you're just ordinary." Jane wanted to say that at the beginning of life everyone seems like that, and then Mike didn't let her do it. "That's enough. I don't need your talk. Pack up and get out. I've already filed for divorce." "But where will I live?" Jane was completely at a loss. Her husband laughed, and the girl hanging on his shoulder supported this laughter. "Mike." But her husband pushed her out the door like a homeless cat and locked the door. She heard the key turn in the neighboring door and rushed downstairs. How ashamed she was now. For some reason, she remembered her neighbor's words that she would cry with Mike, and how fervently Jane proved to her that she had a perfect husband. In their house, there was a cult of Mike, and she herself had created it. But she thought it was right. She thought it was supposed to be just like those novels she read with great interest. Her mother constantly scolded her, "Jane, you read all sorts of nonsense and live in the clouds. Life isn't like that. There are no princes on white horses. They're all taken by kindergarten. You'd better go feed the chickens and clean up after the pigs." Jane wrinkled her nose and waited for the moment she could leave it all behind for New York, where she would definitely meet her prince. Jane said to her mother back then, "I don't want to live like you do. I don't want to, and that's it." Are we living that badly? Apparently, yes. And Jack isn't a groom for you. You're still looking for a prince? You know, Jane, sometimes I think that when I was giving birth to you, the babies got mixed up in the hospital. No way that our daughter turned out like that. Jane chuckled. "I wouldn't be too upset if you stopped considering me your daughter." She left, saw her mother's tearful eyes, but she still left. Jack ran to the bus stop. "You're leaving? When will we meet again?" She liked the kind man very much, but there was no future with him. They would just sit here in the village. "Hope never." "Jane, what are you saying?" "Well, me. But what about the parents? And such a daughter isn't needed by my parents." Just then, the bus arrived. Jane stepped in, turned in some kind of despair, and shouted, "Bye! Find yourself a girl and be happy." She wanted to cry, but not for long, because Jane knew she was heading towards her happiness. She met Mike at the factory where she immediately got a job. He was her workshop manager. She had to work hard, but 4 months later they got married. From that moment on, Jane began to build the life she dreamed of. She renovated, worked mainly nights. Her husband hinted a couple of times that it would be nice for her to study, to at least somehow rise from the rank-and-file workers, but Jane had no time for that. Soon Mike became an idol, and he seemed to like this role. He liked the healthy breakfasts, the crystal cleanliness. And Jane sighed among colleagues. Mike works so hard. She didn't visit her parents because she didn't want to, then because she was ashamed of not going for so long. And then so many years had passed. With what face would she even go there? And it was unknown if everyone was healthy and alive. Jane stood up. Judging by the bus driver's explanations, she still had at least an hour of walking. Well, she'll just get there, lie down, and never get up again. Everything around her collapsed. Everything fell apart. Or maybe there was nothing at all. Everything was just the fruit of her imagination. Help! Jane stopped. She was walking down a dirt road, and a minute ago there was no one anywhere. She turned. A disheveled girl was rushing towards her, followed by a crowd of boys. Behind them were two women, all of them yelling loudly. The boys and the women wanted to beat her up. Jane stood up and grabbed a stick. "Stop! What are you doing?" The boys scattered, but the women did not retreat. "Who are you?" "Step aside. We'll teach her a lesson. She'll know better than to steal." "And what did she steal from you?" "She stole some sour cream from me, and a piece of sausage from me." Shameless, Jane looked at them scornfully. "You refused a child some food?" She took out her wallet, pulled out her last bill, and threw it at them. "Take it." They were not too proud and picked up the money. The small, disheveled girl only let go of her when the women disappeared into the bushes. "Thank you." She smiled. "You don't seem afraid." "No, I'm not afraid. I run faster anyway. Just got tired. Traveled from afar." "Why do you steal then?" The girl shrugged. "It just happened that way. I was hungry." Jane struggled to hold back a smile. "And you say it so calmly?" The girl took out some lard, bread, pulled out a knife from somewhere. Then came out green onions and seemingly the very jar of sour cream. "What are you staring at?" "Sit down. Let's eat. You won't eat for a while." Jane raised her eyebrows in surprise. "How do you know?" "I know everything. I come from a line of fortune tellers." Ain laughed. "Here come the fairy tales. Fortune tellers don't exist. You made it all up to swindle money." She took a bite of lard with onions and thought, "I live to see the day I eat stolen food. But I haven't eaten anything since morning. You can tell my fortune if you want, but I don't have more money." The girl looked at her seriously. "I can, but you still won't believe it." "I'll see whether to believe you or not. Show me your hand." The gypsy girl studied it for a long time, and when she spoke, Jane didn't even recognize her voice. "Don't regret what happened. It wasn't yours. It was a punishment for rejecting heaven-sent happiness. And now everything will return to where you went wrong." Jane blinked. "I didn't understand anything." The girl looked at her and with her usual voice replied, "You don't need to. When the time comes, you'll understand everything yourself." "All right, I have to go. I need to make it before sunset." She busily gathered everything left after the meal, hid them in invisible pockets of her long skirt, and ran down the road. Jane mused. Strange. They're all strange. The house she eventually reached was a real shack. Only the glass in 2 windows remained, black, overgrown. As Jane understood, relatives of her husband once lived in this house. Interesting. What was she actually going to do here? She got off track, wanted to prove something to someone, but didn't think that there's no work here at all. What work could there be? Most houses are almost empty, no one around. All right, I'll stay here for a few days, or just rest and head back. She cleared out as much garbage as she could from the room with the windows, laid her blanket on the bed, and lay down. But as soon as she laid down, the tears found their way out. So, she lived 20 years and gained nothing and needed by no one? Jane cried so hard that she didn't immediately hear someone speaking in the house. "Is anyone alive in here?" She jumped in fright. Who is there? That's it. It's all over for her. Who would wander into such a house? Jane slowly opened the door. Who's here? A broad-shouldered man standing with his back to her even jumped. "Oh, you scared me so much." "That's strange. You were just looking for the living here." "I was, but I didn't think anyone would be around. Sorry, I'm coming from a hunt. The car stopped right in front of your house and won't budge. I thought the house was empty. Just hoped to spend the night." "Please feel free to spend the night. There's plenty of space. It's my first night here too, but I think also the last." The man looked intently at Jane. "Jane, could it really be you? How come you're here in this wilderness? You lived in the city. Wasn't your husband some big shot?" She felt her legs weaken. "Jack, is that you? Jane, I'm so glad to see you. Are you crying? Wait, what happened?" Jane sobbed uncontrollably, couldn't stop at all. Jack sat her down and said, "Well, since fate has brought us together again, I'm not going anywhere. Let's sit down. You tell me everything, and we'll talk about it all." They sat at the table. Jack took out a flask, poured whiskey into plastic cups. "Come on, drink. It'll make the talking easier." Jane talked and talked, couldn't stop, and Jack listened attentively. "So it turned out that I myself, out of my own stupidity, threw away 20 years of my life." "Well, I wouldn't say you wasted them. You just needed that time to realize you took the wrong turn. And you're saying that too. Today, a little homeless gypsy girl fortune teller told me not to regret anything, that now I returned to where I made a mistake, and I made a heap of them, so many you couldn't count." Jack placed his hand on hers. "So start correcting them. What's the problem? You have a chance? Rarely do people get the chance to fix things." "Yes, I owe an apology to my parents. You're right." "I'm sure they will forgive you." Jane looked at Jack with fear. "Are they alive and well?" "Well, they aren't as quick-moving as they used to be, but pretty good. They keep chickens, ducks." Jane cried again. "Oh God, what a fool I am." "Okay, let's go to sleep now, and in the morning we'll go. Go back to where you once fled." They lay together in clothes without any intentions, simply because it was warmer and calmer that way. Jack held her tight, and Jane immediately relaxed and fell asleep. Her mother didn't let her say a word. She didn't have time to apologize and ask for forgiveness because her mom immediately hugged her and cried, "My little girl came back." Then her father appeared and cried too, and Jane realized that she would rather die than leave her parents alone ever again. In the village, it seemed they had forgotten that she once ran away and hadn't visited for so many years, hadn't seen her parents. People came, greeted her, said she had bloomed and looked better. She stayed only for 2 days, but her soul was thawing out. She tried to help her mother with the household chores. Rest a bit after your city life. But Jane was already resting. Everything in her room was just as it was. Not a speck of dust, fresh linen. Her mother probably changed it regularly, waiting for her. On the 3rd day, early in the morning, when it had just started dawning, someone tapped on her room's window. Jane startled. Jack's head poked in. "You'll sleep through everything. Get ready quickly. We're going to the Cape. I got you a fishing rod." Jane quietly laughed. Exactly like this. Over 20 years ago, Jack used to wake her up for fishing and drag her along. Whether she wanted to or not, he didn't care. Jane crawled out the window, pressed against him. "Jack, you are so... So magical. He looked at her seriously. You didn't think so before. Jane smiled. I was a fool before, but now I've grown wiser. Well, maybe you'll marry me now. Jane turned serious. If you ask, maybe I will. And then she laughed. If you catch me first! And she ran towards the river, not caring that in 3 days she'd be 42. At that moment, she was that same young girl who once made a lot of mistakes. A year later, she was already nursing a baby